Hi everyone and welcome back to my Consultant Explorer channel. I'm Charlie and I'm here to help you explore the early career years of technology consulting, how to be successful at it and how to make the most of the opportunities that it can open up for you. I spent 8.5 years at Accenture building the most incredible launchpad for my own career, and now I get to choose what I work on whenever and wherever I want to in the world. And that's the kind of freedom that I can help you find in your journey, which starts just as mine did in technology consulting. Today we're going to walk through a day in the life of a fresh analyst to get a real sense of what it's like when you first start and the kind of things that you'll be regularly doing. So you've just finished 2 weeks of analyst new joiner training and now you've joined a fresh client project and you have a new team. You've arrived at 8:30 in the morning because that's when your boss said was a good time to arrive. But when you look around, you have no idea who is a client and who is a consultant. And when you meet new people, you feel really awkward because you just don't know how to place them. This is a feeling you will feel all the way through your consulting career, not just at analyst level. Consultants like to fit in on client site, which often means things like following the dress code of the client site, wearing client lanyards, using client email addresses, and even sometimes using client laptops. So often you can't use those things to figure out whether someone is a consultant or a client. But what you will start to do is you'll learn tips and tricks. For example, you will really notice who comes to internal consultant meetings, or you'll really notice who walks off into internal client meetings when you're on site. You'll do things like search on your internal portal or your instant messenger to figure out whether someone's name comes up with a consulting email address as well. And remember, at the end of the day, if you know someone well on your project team or you have a buddy, you can always just ask them. You've been told that this project is implementing a piece of technology in HR called Workday. You've never worked with Workday before, and to be honest, before this project, you've never even heard of it. You will get used to this feeling, and actually it's one of the great things about working in consulting, that you just get to learn new technologies all the time. What you'll start to notice though is that in delivering the technologies, there are patterns of delivery, and those patterns are very repeatable when you come to the next technology and the next technology. So that's how you'll start to learn to feel comfortable. The more you look around you, the more you realise that everyone just looks really smart. So you're glad that you dressed a little bit smarter today than you were originally planning to. This is good. It's always better to dress more smart than less smart if you're not quite sure. Generally, consultants try and match the level of formality of their client, and different clients in different industries have different levels of formality. Weirdly, your boss just isn't in the office today. He seems to be working remotely. And it's a bit bizarre because you weren't told any reason why he wouldn't be there. He sends you a bit of a short, curt email and you're really worried that you've done something wrong. Is he annoyed that you've joined his team and you don't really know anything about what's going on? Do not take it personally. Your boss literally had 20 seconds between 2 different escalation meetings to reply to your email. The technology that your team is delivering is due to be made live for users this weekend, and there are still loads of bugs that need to be resolved in very little time before it goes live. Your boss is currently fighting fires with third parties that are underperforming, with clients that are stressed, and so your boss is feeling stressed. Keep your head down, do as much as you can with the information that you have, and if you have questions, try and find another less stressed colleague for the moment to ask them to, and I'm sure they will help you. There are periods in the day where you don't have anything to do and you're just really worried that you're not being useful. It's so awkward to just sit there and stare at your screen clicking around, and you don't want to just try and look busy. So you should always offer your help. You could go to anyone and ask if there is anything that you can do. But it might be that if you're fresh to the role, you don't actually have the skills yet that are required to help out in that particular hour, and that's okay. You're not expected to have all those skills yet. So what you can do is you can spend that time developing more skills. This is where things like having an extracurricular responsibility can come in handy. For example, you might be organising a lunch and learn for your department. Or maybe you want to spend the time on the internal portal seeing if there is any e-learning that you might be able to do. Either way, if you're not going to be doing client work and you are actually at client site, it's best that you take yourself off somewhere quiet on client site, maybe in a cafe or maybe just a quiet corner, and take your headphones too so that it looks like you're on a call. You know that when you're at your laptop using it, your showing is online and your boss will know that you're working. So you really don't know whether it's okay to step away from your desk every so often to pop to the loo or go and grab some lunch. Being offline occasionally is absolutely expected, especially during lunchtime or between meetings. But if you're expecting a call or you need to be on hand to help somebody with something, then make sure you don't go too far. Seems like everyone just gets up and goes to grab lunch and then comes back with it and eats it at their desk. It's a very different vibe to the last couple of weeks at Analyst training, where you made a really good friend and you had lunch with her every single day. So this is quite a common experience in the consulting way of life. You will meet lots of people and you will work with them, you'll get to know them really well. And then when you stop working with them, you actually won't see them for quite a long time because you might end up in different parts of the country on different new client projects. But the good thing about that is that you are meeting a lot of new people all the time. And that means you learn so many things from these people. And also you get to learn things about yourself, like your own professional working style and how you like to work. Also, eating lunch at your desk is obviously not a healthy thing to do, but it is what consultants do very often. So instead of always trying to take a lunch break, another thing you could do is have a look every morning at your meeting schedule for the day and just decide which of your meetings you might be able to take on the phone instead while you walk. You could take a walk outside, or you could literally just take a walk around the office. You keep listening to the seniors all around you because they all seem to be on the same call. It's a bit weird because they're all sat at desks with headphones on, all on this call, and you're not quite sure why they haven't just gone to a meeting room. But it's quite good because it means that you can listen in. They're mentioning things like go live, UAT, bugs. None of it really makes any sense to you yet. But you're starting to get a sense of who's working with who and who's responsible for what and what they might be like to work with. And actually they keep mentioning that go live is happening this weekend, which clearly seems like a big deal and people are a little bit stressed about it. They're probably all on the same call together because there is one person at least who is remote, and that person may well have been a client. Also, there may just not have been a meeting room available. But it's great that they're all on a call around you because you get to listen in to lots of seniors at work and learn from them. Passive absorption is one of the best ways to learn. You're now actually attending a meeting that your boss has invited you to listen into. You literally don't understand a word of what they're saying in this meeting, so you're really glad that all you need to do is take notes. So they definitely aren't doing it just to confuse you. They're doing it because they're literally just not even thinking about it. It feels so normal for them. One day you'll probably do that too, completely by accident. And when it comes to note taking, it might be that lots of what is said in the meeting doesn't make much sense. And so it's okay to try and write absolutely everything that you can down, especially if you're a really fast typer. But make sure that before you circulate any notes to anyone after the meeting, that you have really condensed it only to the key points, because nobody wants to read the whole meeting again. You've noticed that there's another analyst in your team who is very likely to want to get promoted at the same time as you. You've been warned by all your friends outside of this company that it's really competitive on the inside when you get in, so you start to worry about the fact that you and her are going to be competitive when it comes to promotion. Yeah, everyone around you is ambitious and they do want to get promoted, but that's good. That's what you want to surround yourself with because it pushes you, because you learn from them too. Don't get bogged down with competitive behaviour. Competition is not pretty, and your seniors will notice if you're not being supportive of your teammates. Remember that at the end of the day, you are all on the same team, and you will be marked up when it comes to performance reviews if you are helping people and not being competitive. By 6 p.m, you've finished condensing your notes and you're basically ready to go home. But looking around, everyone is still heads down, and you don't feel like you should leave before anyone else. So you think about what else you might be able to do, and you remember that your boss had asked you to finish tidying up a spreadsheet, so you get that out instead. By 7:30, some people start to get up and go, and so you figure it's probably okay for you to do the same. In fact, you're taking a train back into the city so you can finish your spreadsheet whilst on the train. The only thing is, you're not quite sure what you're supposed to be working on in public or not. Okay, good decision not to leave at 6 p.m, because leaving your team behind to work while you go and have a nice evening is not really what a good team player does. The best thing to do is to walk around and see if there's anything that you can offer to do to help anybody on your team. And when it comes to actually working on that spreadsheet on the way home, it's very unlikely that what you're working on is super sensitive if you haven't been told so, but it's probably the case that the general public shouldn't see what you're working on. So the best thing to do is to just always have a privacy screen on your laptop, and then you can be confident working in public spaces. It's now 8 p.m. and you're arriving at the restaurant that you agreed to meet your other half at for dinner. She's been waiting there since 6:30, which was the time that you originally agreed to meet there, and she's clearly really annoyed that she's been waiting for so long. You will learn to take cues over time as to how late you're likely to finish. It can feel really unpredictable at the start, and you're going to have to be quite reactive to it, but over time you will definitely get better at predicting it. Setting expectations with your other half as to the time that you're likely going to be able to meet them is going to make all the difference. And if you have a boss that's really into well-being, you actually might get time in lieu for any overtime that you work late into the evenings. On the way home from dinner, you have a quick look at your phone to check your work email just in case. You've received something called Go Live Celebration, and when you open it up, you realise you've been invited to a very fancy team meal next week to celebrate Go Live. You still have no idea what Go Live is all about, but this sounds pretty cool. First off, try not to check your emails outside of work hours unless there's something specific you are actually waiting for. It's really important that you switch off during that downtime so that when you switch back on again in the morning, you can be super productive. And when it comes to going to that fancy team meal, don't feel bad about ordering something nice. Obviously don't go bananas, but the point of the team meal is to actually thank you and the team for all the hard work that you've been doing. So in summary, a day in the life of an analyst can be confusing, it can feel reactive, it can be super boring, whilst at the same time it could be super interesting. Ultimately, it's what you make of it. You have the most amazing journey ahead of you, and there is so much opportunity to learn. It's also really important that you enjoy the fact that you don't have huge amounts of responsibility yet. You're certainly going to sleep much better than the people who are actually on point for fixing all those bugs ahead of the go live this weekend, especially after that nice bottle of wine you can now afford at dinner. I hope that's been insightful for you. Do let me know by liking the video and definitely subscribe to my channel to see what I post next. Social media links are below, and if you have any questions or comments in the meantime, then feel free to use the comments here and I'll do my best to answer absolutely everything. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, and I wish you all the best with your exploring.